What did Taehyung whisper that shattered Jungkook's composure before millions of watching eyes? Why did one simple sentence, "You don't have to hide it anymore," turn a stage of celebration into a flood of raw emotion? Stay until the end and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if your heart still believes in their unspoken bond, because tonight, the truth behind that tear will make you question everything you thought you knew about BTS. It began not with a roar, but with silence, the kind of silence that makes even the loudest hearts tremble. Under the blinding lights of a global broadcast, millions of eyes fixed on one man who suddenly looked too human for the legend he had become. Jungkook stood there, eyes glistening, lips trembling, as Taehyung leaned close enough to whisper something only he could hear. But it wasn't just Jungkook who broke at that moment. It was every fan watching, every heart that had followed their story through years of silence, separation, and unspoken truths. You don't have to hide it anymore. 7 words. 7 impossible, world-shaking words. And yet, it was enough to make Jungkook lower his mic, clench his trembling hands, and let tears escape down his face. Cameras zoomed in, armies gasped, and the chat rooms exploded. What did Taehyung mean? What was Jungkook hiding all this time? The atmosphere was electric, a mix of confusion, heartbreak, and awe. HYB executives, seated in their invisible towers, must have felt the chill of something uncontrollable, a truth too powerful to silence. For years, every interaction between Taehyung and Jungkook had been analyzed, censored, or reframed. Yet, in that brief whisper, it felt like the mask had fallen off. There was no choreography, no script, no performance, only truth. The stage lights reflected on Jungkook's tears, and Taehyung didn't look away. He smiled, not the kind of smile rehearsed for cameras, but one that carried years of understanding. It was as if he had waited for this moment, to finally tell Jungkook that the weight he carried was no longer his alone. You don't have to hide it anymore. The phrase echoed in the minds of millions, and suddenly everyone felt they knew, even if they couldn't say what it was. Fans who had followed their journey since debut whispered theories between sobs. Was it about freedom, love, pressure, or perhaps something deeper? The invisible chains that every idol wears, hidden beneath the glitter and perfection. The truth was, maybe it didn't matter what exactly Jungkook had been hiding. What mattered was the courage it took for Taehyung to tell him he didn't have to anymore. Backstage sources later revealed that the tension before that performance was unlike anything they'd ever felt. Jungkook had been quiet, lost in thought, his usual energy dimmed by something unspeakable. Taehyung, always attuned to him, had stayed by his side, refusing to let him drift too far into silence. Some say they argued, some say they cried, but one thing is certain. When they walked on that stage, there was a secret pact between them. A silent promise that tonight, the truth would finally breathe. And it did. Not through an announcement, not through a statement, but through a whisper that cut through the noise of fame and expectation. The crowd had no idea they were witnessing a breaking point. A release that had been building for years. Jungkook tried to sing through his tears, his voice cracking in places it never had before, his usual control slipping away. Yet somehow that imperfection made it even more beautiful. It wasn't just a performance, it was a confession. Why now? Fans asked online. Why here? Theories flooded Twitter, Reddit, and Weverse. Some believed it was a message to HYB, others thought it was a message to ARMY, or perhaps a message to himself. But Taehyung's look said it all. He wasn't afraid. For once, he wasn't performing for approval. He was protecting something real. As Jungkook wiped his tears, Taehyung placed a hand on his shoulder. Steady, warm, grounding. It was the kind of gesture that spoke louder than any interview could. Said, "I know. I've always known." Cameras captured that touch, and fans around the world replayed it again and again, searching for clues, reading between the lines. Because BTS had always been masters of silence, of saying everything without words. But tonight, words were finally spoken. The aftermath was immediate. Clips of the moment spread like wildfire. The hashtag "You don't have to hide it anymore" trended worldwide within minutes. Some fans rejoiced, others worried. Was Jungkook struggling? Was Taehyung rebelling? The speculation was endless, but beneath it all, one feeling united everyone: empathy. Because no matter what the truth was, everyone could feel that something real had broken through the walls of fame and control. The irony was almost poetic. For years they had sung about freedom, truth, and love. They had built an empire of sincerity, yet behind the curtain, the pressure to remain perfect never ceased. Jungkook's tears were not weakness, they were rebellion. And Taehyung's whisper wasn't comfort, it was defiance. That night marked a shift, not just for BTS but for the entire K-pop industry. Because when the most polished idols in the world dared to show something raw and unfiltered, it reminded everyone that authenticity is the strongest form of art. Behind every perfect smile, there's a storm waiting to be acknowledged. Even HYB's carefully curated image couldn't stop the wave of emotion that followed. Articles were pulled, clips were edited, but the moment had already escaped into the hearts of millions. Fans made compilations, slowed down the video, added subtitles, analyzed lip movements, desperate to decode every second. But deep down, maybe the message was never meant to be decoded. Maybe it was meant to be felt. Days later, Jungkook appeared live, eyes still a little swollen, smile still tender. He thanked fans for their concern, insisting he was okay. But then his tone softened, his eyes flickered with something honest. "Sometimes," he said quietly, "when you carry something too long, it becomes heavy. But I'm lucky, because I have someone who reminds me I don't have to carry it alone." The chat exploded. Everyone knew who he meant. He didn't have to say the name, he didn't have to. The connection was already carved in history in every moment shared on and off stage. Taehyung too posted later a simple story with a photo of the night sky and the caption, "Some truths don't need to be said out loud." And with that, silence fell again, but this time it was peaceful. The storm had passed, and what remained was understanding. What did Taehyung mean when he said, "You don't have to hide it anymore"? Was it love? Pain? Identity? Or was it something much larger, the right to simply be? Maybe we'll never know the full story, and maybe that's the point. The mystery keeps them human, so as fans continue to replay that clip, tears still forming every time Jungkook breaks, one question echoes louder than ever. How long had he been hiding it? If you believe that moment was more than coincidence, that it was a truth disguised as performance, leave a comment below. What do you think Taehyung meant? What did Jungkook feel in that instant? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with someone who still believes that even in the loudest industry, whispers can change everything. Because sometimes the most powerful words are the ones spoken softly, and you don't have to hide it anymore, might just be the loudest whisper the world has ever heard. The silence that followed Taehyung's words seemed to echo louder than any applause. Jungkook stood there, frozen between reality and emotion, as if time itself had stopped to witness what had just happened. For a moment, the noise of the crowd faded, the lights dimmed in his vision, and all he could feel was the trembling of his own heartbeat, and the warmth of Taehyung's presence beside him. The whisper wasn't just heard, it was felt. It rippled through his chest, unlocking something he had buried so deep, he had almost forgotten it was there. Fans who watched live couldn't look away. They saw a man who had always been strong suddenly look fragile, human, and heartbreakingly real. They saw Taehyung calm, collected, and yet full of compassion, holding his gaze like someone who had waited too long to say the truth. And when Jungkook's tears fell, it wasn't just his tears. It was years of pressure, silence, and exhaustion that finally broke free. Across the world, armies were trembling. Comments flooded social media. What did he mean? Is Jungkook okay? Was this message for HY? Others wrote things more poetic, saying, "That's not a whisper, that's liberation." Because deep down, every fan knew this wasn't planned. No PR team could script that kind of emotion. It was too raw, too intimate, too dangerous.